and welcome to The Straw Hat with Rabbi David Wolkenfeld and Rabbanit Goldie Guy. We are the official podcast of Anshe Shalom B'nai Israel Congregation, an Orthodox synagogue in the Lakeview neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois.
We are recording on Thursday, May 26th. It doesn't quite feel like a Thursday. I think the whole week kind of felt like Thursday because we had our soiree on Monday, but it's Thursday, so we're recording a little bit early. The podcast will be sent out some days from now, but it was important to us to take the opportunity to record one last podcast with Rabbanit Goldie on the shul staff. This is your valedictory podcast / your exit interview. So I wanted to just ask you to reflect a little bit on your 2 years working for the shul. Maybe just some reflections on, like, first of all, something that has become meaningful to you and was a positive element of your work here that you didn't expect, like something that was surprising to you about this community and about your work here.
Something surprising.
Yeah, I surprised you with that question too.
Yes, you did. First of all, thank you for naming me valedictorian. I appreciate that. Can I say that working minyan has been surprisingly nice sometimes? Oh. That I didn't expect that because I'm not like an avid minyan goer. I love other aspects of shul life and other aspects of shul leadership, but I just never really had minyan at the top of my list of like favorite communal activities as a Jew, and it's been nice to daven. I've been coming regularly for Mincha Mariv during the week, and that's been really lovely.
Can you
like
say
the
more?
community. It's fun to see like who's the regular community that shows up. You get to know really who you're davening with. I've enjoyed sharing Torah in that space of like you have like the rapt attention of people for that 5 minutes in between Mincha and Mariv, and it's like interesting. Like you just share a bit of Torah. There's no other agenda. It's like let's learn Torah Lishma for a little bit, and then I've surprisingly like had people come up to me and say, "Oh, that was so interesting," or reflect on a Mishnah I've taught, or we've been working through Be'orei Tefillah and like just reading about like reflections about Tefillah, and people have come up to me and said, "Oh, that was so interesting. This made me think of that. It made me think of this," and so it's just like a very concentrated like form of giving over Torah and people actually reflecting on it because they're in the midst of doing a mitzvah. It's just, I don't know, that's been really nice. I love seeing. I know I haven't been here for Shachris as much, so I know that the kids come and do the tzedakah box, and that's been really sweet to see their excitement when they're here and they get to come and collect tzedakah. They go dutifully around to every single person, even if nobody had tzedakah that day, and that's very sweet. Yeah.
I had this idea at the soiree, seeing the QR code for purchasing raffle tickets that was all over on those tables. I think we can have maybe like a QR code pushka kind of thing, right?
That would make a lot more sense because I think people don't give because they don't have like money.
Yeah, I used to have
on them.
I used to have
exactly
like change and cash and things like that before I used credit cards for every single purchase, right?
Exactly. So, that makes a lot of sense. You should do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Or like you can have like people have the Cash App or Venmo. I don't know if the shul has that.
I think the shul could do that. I just don't know that's like maybe
weird.
A little bit beyond the ability of like. No, I think there are like credit card pushka things that exist. Huh. I've heard of shuls that use them. I just don't know that that's something that I want like a 5-year-old to be like responsible for walking around the shul with like a credit card reader, but maybe a QR code. I think that's something that like you could be like, I don't know.
No, I think I was saying something similar, but yeah, but it's like mitzvah haba al yadcha tach mitzena, right? Like if I think people do want to give tzedakah, but they don't have.
There's also a separate idea of dafka trying to give tzedakah at the time of prayer. That before we ask God to answer our prayers, let's do something for our fellow human being.
I think people are really moved to give, and then they're like, that's been my situation a bunch of times. And I'm like, actually, I have no cash on me.
Yeah.
But that's been really lovely to see the involvement of everyone. I like Mincha and Shabbat when the women get the Torah when they show up and like in great numbers, and that's been really nice to see. So minyan life has been a surprise for me.
So you can keep that up. Maybe you'll keep. You're always welcome. There's always room for more.
Thank you so much. Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. Sorry, I'm not laughing at all. I think every time I express some hope that you're going to continue to be like a Lakeview resident, shul going.
I do. Okay, there's context to that you're missing. All right. So I will continue to come to shul. I just don't know whether or not I will volunteer to lead Tachabat in my current.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We'll understood.
I can help with groups.
Okay.
Also, supervising I don't know if that was a surprise. I know that, like, I've been working with kids for a bit. I know that kids who are involved and get empowered are really fun to work with. And that's why I liked, and, you know, it was an aspect that drew me to this work. And it hasn't been a surprise, but it's been really lovely to, like, see their leadership blossom, especially, like, the 8th graders who I guess lured into working for us. But they've become real leaders, and I've seen them, like, grow over time in their ability to engage. And we did, like, a training session they actually, I think, learned from, and that was really fun. Like, to see afterwards. I come around to all the groups, and they're really using the engagement strategies that I taught them, and they've become much more independent leaders, and that's been really great. And I hope that
it's been really great for the shul. I think we have more teens in shul on Shabbos morning involved in communal life than I think any time in the last decade, and at least, and then
some of them go to Hashkama.
Some of them go to Hashkama first, so that because they're going to work Shabbos. I mean, that's
really lovely.
We encourage that. I think if you're going to work on Shabbos morning, you should daven first. I think that's totally appropriate, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's important to have Hashkama. I mean, every Shabbos, if we're employing Jews from our community to work on Shabbos morning, they need to have an opportunity to daven first if they want. But also, I know, like, my own kids the twins who now are, and know them before them, who've worked for you on Shabbos mornings. It's been also nice with, like, their sense of responsibility, and it's been really great, and also their connection to, like, more kids in the community. I think they feel, like, a real warmth and love for, like, so many of the younger children in the shul. It's, like, really sweet to see that, the way they talk about the other children with a lot of love, and I think that comes from, like, running their groups. So. Yeah, that's so nice. And that's awesome, because that's a ripple effect, right? Then those kids have a connection to the madrichim, and then they continue to come because they see them as role models. It's exactly like it worked well, and I was very excited about that. Terrific. So, again, thinking back these 2 years, if there was, like, a message you could give yourself, as you're about to embark and move to Chicago, what would you... It's so hard because COVID loomed so large over the course of my work here. Like, it's just. So let me then rephrase that question. Did you what were your expectations of how that, like, was it more or less, like, I don't know. I can't remember what I thought at various times. But I'm pretty sure that as you moved here in, like, the summer of 2020, my expectation was that COVID would not be a significant factor in communal life for as long as it was and continues to be, actually. I could say, like, at least there were, like, ebbs and flows, right? Of it's not going to be as hard all the time as it was when I first landed here. That was really hard. Like, running programming that was socially distanced is really difficult to connect to people. I picked you up at the airport. I think you were the first person I had in my car. Yeah, and I sat in the back with a mask. Sat 6 feet away in the back with the windows open. The back row of my minivan with the windows open. Yeah, yeah. And you took me for coffee. Thank you for that. That was nice. That was a nice welcome. The drive-through Starbucks. That was a surprise. The drive-through Starbucks on the way for everyone. If you know, I'm sure a lot of people listening know the Starbucks on the way from Midway. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't think I had, like, an expectation of I was just gonna, like, follow and see what happened, with a sense of, like, I'll do the best that I can. Yeah. I just come off a year of teaching remotely, where the year ended and I literally didn't go back to my classroom after leaving the first, like, when they shut down the school. Wow. Like, the school computer was in my school desk, and I wrote to them and I said, I hope you find it, right? It was in the like everything was in place. I, like, literally, it was. And the school closed. So what do they do with all those? They have a maintenance crew who still work the grounds, because I'm still friends with them on Facebook, and I'm like, they talk about cleaning the gym, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, like, I had already seen the difficulty of doing that, but then it was really hard to come into a place which didn't have, like, that I wasn't connected to yet, and to be able to build those connections through COVID was
was hard, but it wasn't always that hard. Meaning there were ebbs and flows. So it was like, I didn't have to steel myself for the entire journey to be that way.
Yeah.
And that people were, very supportive, and there were people who jumped to do things. I learned a lot about lay leadership. It's funny because like Maharaj just also had a session on that for us of like, what does it mean to work with lay leadership? And you heard about that?
Did you go?
I did go. I think it's important. That was something new for me to learn, and understanding how like we as paid staff interact with volunteers who are so generously giving of their time and effort and energy because they care so much. It's like I would get really worried as people's energies kind of waned and they needed to take a step back, and I was like, oh no, everything's going to fall apart because my key people are but it didn't. And like we hold the ship steady, and then people come in and out and as their energy allows, and that's okay. Like that was something I had to learn along the way that I don't know. It's still a little scary. Like, but what do I do without that person?
Right.
And then people moved away. I learned about, shul in a city. Like that was hard and sad. I don't know. I still don't know how to process that. I'm still missing a bunch of people who moved away over the course of.
I have to say, the longer I've been here, that's like it's, every May, June, July, it's really, really sad when people announce they're leaving and they leave, and some of them have been here 1, 2, 5, 10 years, and very, very sad. And then every July, August, September, it's really, really great to meet all the new people who come to the shul.
It's true. It's just very different than school life as a teacher, right? Where I'm seeing kids grow up year after year, and then suddenly here it was like, wait, I want to see this kid grow up. Like what?
Yeah. That part is sad.
Yeah.
I think compared to a school, though, working in a synagogue setting, you do get to often enough, see an entire family over, over the course of the whole lifespan, over year after year. I think that's a very nice.
Right. So like, I'm not leaving Lakeview just yet, so I'll still be able to see that. So keep coming to shul because I'll miss you if you don't.
Yes. Is there a skill you developed here in this position that you hope to take with you that you feel you're going to like use in the next stages of your career?
A skill.
Yeah. I could name like 5 of them that I don't know.
What have I learned?
I think your comfort speaking in public in front of large audiences and using like, we talked about this last time, right? Like you're delivering a dress. I think your skills and comfort doing that is much improved. I think the time it takes you to prepare it is less, and the outcome is better.
I was so nervous recording videos. Can I just say for the public audience that we had to record video that took me so long because I would do takes and I wanted it to look like the adrenaline rush that you get when you're up there on the bima is very different than recording it on your iPhone, and you don't move through it in the same way. So I'm really glad that that's over, but I learned how to do that a little bit. And, speaking from the bima has been a skill.
But not just from the bima. I think that's
in general.
There's a difference between like teaching a class at either classroom of children or a adult education tech study session. Like that's one type of. I think you came here very comfortable in that kind of setting, and I think you became comfortable like lecturing, right, speaking, in that mode, which I think is something that's a useful skill.
It is useful.
Right?
Still not my preferred mode. I really like I thrive on the interaction. That's the whole point. But yeah, I guess so.
I think the video thing is also. I hate to I feel that I think that may be part of all of our futures, right, in some way or another. And so being able to
still hard.
It's terrible. It's because I don't know.
You're not talking to anybody, and then you just put it out there, and there's no one to like react to your Torah. Like that's what it like.
That's interesting. It's the energy of the.
Yeah, the Torah is made in the space in the middle. That's what it is. That's like the Torah is in the interaction between you and everyone. That's the specialness of Torah. And like when you're putting it out there, it's like I don't know how people like recorded. Like I used to listen to a lot of. I've already listened to a bunch of them over and over. There's like a Keshet Kol Shidurei Torah on the VBM on the virtual Beit Midrash of Yeshivat Har Etzion. There are a lot of like great series on there, and I'm a very auditory learner, so I would listen to a lot of classes that way. And I'm like, I don't know how they sat in front of a microphone and just like recorded this.
They weren't recordings of live classes. They were just recorded
people taught into a podcast studio. That's
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how you did that so effectively. I guess they read from a script. Like I've learned some tricks like that. Like that's really helpful for me. It's what I taught my bat mitzvah student this past week. Of it's not bad to read from a script. Here's how you look up during your speech and find that spot on the back wall that you're going to look at.
3 spots. Yeah, you have to have 3 spots.
3 spots.
One
I didn't
over
teach
there,
her that.
One over there, and one over there, so that they.
Okay, Talia, if you're listening.
It's like that's how you make your imaginary teleprompter, right?
3 spots. Okay.
Okay. Now, all right. Now that's the.
I don't know. I taught her. I was like, you should put your hands on the stender. It makes you feel more, grounded, and you take up more space, and you don't sway as much. Things that you learn. Like, I learned that back in we had a public speaking teacher in GPATS, the graduate program at Stern, who taught us a lot of silly phrases for tricks for public speaking.
Oh, really?
That was we mostly made fun of it, but but that was it. We did have that professional development, but it's like, that was helpful. Like one of the things he taught us was to keep our feet straight, right? And having a big stender is a big difference, right? You really, you take up the space more. It's nice. I've taught from both stenders. Like this is our previous smaller stender, and that was different. And I don't know. Other skills like I don't know. I'm saying working with lay leadership is like a key skill that I'm still working on, and it is important. All of you lay leaders out there, thank you, and you are so vital to the shul, and it's still something that I'm working on. Is right, because it's very different from being a teacher.
Right. Schools have lay leadership, which is crucial for the school,
Correct.
but they're not.
But I'm slotted into a role where I do my tasks, and that's very different than a shul where it's like a living organism that you're creating as you go.
Yeah, and
kind of based on needs, based on response. Like it's just very different. Yeah. Based on buy-in, there's.
It's also very unique. Like every community has, I think, my sense is that a unique.
That's true.
We pay people to do things at Anshe Shalom that other shuls have volunteers do, and we have volunteers do things at Anshe Shalom that other shuls pay people to do. And I don't think there's one right way. I think it's just a matter of what do we need to pay people for, and what do we have volunteers to do, and how does that shake out? And it can change from year to year based on the capabilities of the people in the shul.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's something I'm learning, and again, I'll have to keep learning, which that's what this job is. You keep learning.
Yes. Yeah. Every job, but this one too. So what's in terms of things that's next on your professional horizon? Any classes you're excited to teach, or Torah ideas you're excited to explore? Is it you haven't had a chance to think that 100% of your time is still focused on your responsibilities?
I have to figure out a lot of stuff here still.
It's good.
Don't worry.
I know we're squeezing every last second.
And I'm getting married in 20 days, so
amazing.
19 days.
That's a lot. Okay.
So there's a lot of that. I'm going to be teaching a class on Rav Shagar, on the thought of Rav Shagar. That thank you for lending me that book. Which
my pleasure.
For the virtual Beit Midrash at Hadar, I'm excited for that. I'm excited. Many of you have heard this from me already, that I've, my dream job is being a teacher of Gemara full time for people who are excited to be there, for adult learners, for teen learners, post college, that kind of thing. So I'm excited to be able to run some of those initiatives, hopefully, eventually soon, and be able to run those kinds of courses. I've already brought up an intro to Gemara with our Mishnah Club kids, and they're excited for that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
I teach the middle school track, so you didn't get to bring that up with your elementary schoolers.
No, the fourth graders are not quite there soon.
No, but our middle school track, they were like, we'd be into it. And I'm
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd be really excited to do that. So hopefully, again, my joy is in learning Torah with people. So, so that's what I'm excited about. Yeah, and I'm bringing Torah to more people. I'll be able to expand a little more. That's going to be a challenge and hopefully a good thing, to expand Torah to different parts of Chicago and the suburbs. I don't know the suburbs yet, so I will learn.
You have to get a car. That's right. Maybe not. Okay.
Maybe not.
Okay. We'll find out.
We'll see. Thank you for.
All right, maybe we'll invite.
Stay tuned to the next.
We'll invite you back in a year, and you can tell us about.
I learned podcasting. I'm like, oh, how much does this equipment cost?
Oh yeah.
Maybe I can podcast. I don't know. Haley will have to teach. Haley does our diligent editing, so she's our most
producer and editor. Yeah,
editor. So she does a lot of the heavy lifting with that. So maybe I'll learn from her a little bit. I'm excited about that. And then that's good. So
any people want to stay in touch with you and et cetera, any, like, they should send you email. You want to, what email?
You have my email address. I've been using it also. I've been sneakily putting that one, my Gmail, on the bottom of my source sheet. So you also have that. Not so sneaky. It's on the bottom of my source sheets. It's
not sneaky at all.
Rabbanit Goldie Guy at gmail.com. It's how you know me. So
okay.
That's my email. I also live here, and I'll come to shul here.
Great.
So good. Stay in touch that way.
Great.
And you'll see me, meaning my classes are going to be on the Hadar website, not to plug, but God willing, we'll also be able to do some partnerships with Anshe Shalom in some way. I'm hoping to. So we'll figure out. I'll be here. And if you have ideas, if you have Torah you want to produce into the world together, programs you want to see, I'm here for that. It's just an extension of community building that I've been doing here, hopefully. In different ways, in different places, not focused only on Anshe Shalom and Lakeview, and hopefully it'll grow, and we'll partner.
Well, I wish you a lot of hatzlacha in your continuing endeavors to spread Torah and build community in our expanded community, and thank you so much for bringing your energy and your talent and your perseverance and dedication, love for Torah to our shul over 2 years that were just really different than any 2 years that we could have predicted. And I, hope everything that comes afterwards is easier. And,
amen.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I hope so. I hope for you too. Thank you for all your support and your mentorship and your guidance. I couldn't have done any of this without you. So I appreciate that. Thank you for all of you for giving me the space to do it, for being kind to me when things didn't work, for encouraging me when things did work well, and for showing up. So I hope you continue to show up for the programs we've created, and hopefully they'll keep sustaining themselves. And with the person who takes over this job too, that'll be exciting. Keep showing up. We need you.